All right, good afternoon. My name is Garvin Reed. Once again, I'm a assistant director here at the Wasserman Center for Career Development at the School of Professional Studies. Today, we'll be going over preparing for your performance review. Just a quick check for those folks who are in the room right now. If you can, just type into the chat box yes if you can hear me. Once again, just type yes if you can hear me. But this webinar is being recorded, so I'm going to just go forward for those folks. If I don't have any response from those folks who are typing in the chat box, I'm just going to go along through this webinar as if it was just being recorded. All right, so first we will get to the agenda. So today's agenda, we're going to go over a couple of things. The purpose of the performance review. We're going to go over how to prepare yourself before the review, how to compose yourself during the review, and also how to follow up after the review. All right, so the purpose of the performance review. So just take some time to just think about like what is the purpose of you having this discussion with your manager or whoever you report to. The purpose of this is, or here are some questions to actually ask. So why does my organization make me complete a performance evaluation? So this is normally so that they can get a sense of, what you've accomplished, but also not really so much as like a big brother just watching over you, but it also helps you because you can now organize your accomplishments. And I also use the performance review as a means to update my resume as well because you can go over your accomplishments over the past 6 months or 1 year or however whatever segmentation you guys use to have a performance evaluation. All right, so some folks have it as an HR mandatory policy. I would say most corporations, as well as nonprofits, most large established organizations have it as an HR mandatory policy, but some organizations don't have it. So you can use it as a developmental opportunity for you to work on your development in your role, whether it's a internship or a full-time job. All right, so performance evaluations, it's a great tool to receive constructive feedback. It's a great tool for you to set goals for what you can accomplish in the next 6 months or 1 year. And it's also a great tool to work on how can you improve your performance in the organization as well as within your role. It's also a wonderful tool for addressing compensation to see, what did you do to, or not so much what did you do, but how can you justify, quantify, and qualify yourself for a promotion, quite possibly. And same thing goes for promotion, and as well as receiving acknowledgement for the work that you have done on this job and in this role. All right, so now that we know the purpose of the performance evaluation, now how do we prepare ourselves for it? All right, so first we're gonna begin with gathering your evidence. So look at your job description. So you may still have it from when you were preparing for your interview process. You may not, but that's okay. If you don't have it, consider if there are any openings for a role similar to yours, either in your company or in a competing company. Look at that job description. Also, think about like what is expected of you in your role. So think about that. Save any positive emails you've gotten, whether it's from if you're client facing, whether it was from a client or from a colleague, from a team you worked on, from a higher up, even from someone who you may have managed. If you work in higher education, also you can save an email from a student as well. So definitely save your positive emails. Look at last year's goals. So if you have worked in this organization for some time now, consider looking at your performance evaluation from the previous year and see where you match up with what you've done with what you've done last year and how does it match up to your current state of success and achievement. And it's always great to keep everything organized in one folder. Whether it's a virtual folder or a physical folder is up to you, but just keep all of these things organized in one document so that when you are preparing for your performance evaluation, it's a quick and easy process of just pulling that folder and going through the information that's in that folder. All right. And then so all of this should be it should be done on an ongoing basis. So just think about if you get like a positive email or even like, if your performance evaluation process is every year, think about, maybe 1 year or like, sorry, 3 months in, I'm gonna pull some positive emails. I'm gonna look at last year's goals and I'm gonna, update my folder. So this is an ongoing process. Completing the performance appraisal. So for those companies that do have a formal performance evaluation process, more than likely you'll get a performance appraisal. For some people, it's in a PDF document. Some folks, it's in a Word document. Some folks, it's on an internal website as well, like the company intranet. I recommend, as well as, well, beyond me, the Watchman Center, we all recommend completing each section in a Word document first, and then copy and pasting it into either the Word document, the final documents, or into the intranet website, or into the PDF. Reason being is that in a Word document, you're more likely to think more freely. You also have spell check, which is a great help, and you can just see things more clearer. You don't have to worry about the small confines of the paragraph space that is allotted to you. Focus on your accomplishments, impacts, results instead of the task. We want to know, what did you do? Let me know what were your highlights. I don't really want to know so much of like, what did you do on a day-to-day, like I just came to work, I did my job. No, let me know the highlights. Think of it like, if you're into sports, think of it like, what did you do in your job that was worthy of being on Sports Center? What was in like the top 10? Those are the things that you wanna put in there. And if you're not into sports, can't think of another analogy, but you get my drift. I really want to see the highlights. So as we see here, increased profits, the percentage by which you did it. If you acquired new clients, if you helped roll out a new IT system, if you worked on a social media, how many followers did you increase it by? Did you increase the followers? How did you go about doing that? Any kind of innovation that you've done, talk about that. So the discussion questions. So keep it all positive. So what challenges have you overcome? How did you do it? What performance improvements have you made since your last review? What have you accomplished in the past year? How have you contributed to the organization's bottom line? These are all questions that either I want you to prepare for when going into the interview, or questions that I want you to how do I put this? I want you to prepare your answers in a way that answers these questions, even if it was not asked of you. So let's say someone says, okay, so this is the performance evaluation time, and your manager says, all right, so just tell me some of the highlights that you feel you've had over the past year. So you can say, one of my highlights is that I was able to overcome the challenge of blank. Another one, I accomplished the rolling out of the boom. I increased the value of the organization by doing, so that's how I want you to either A, prepare for these questions, or B, answer either an open-ended question or whatever other question was asked of you. Answer it in a way that also answers these questions, because that also helps you in another way. It puts the manager in the mentality that you are very strategically and goal-oriented and focused, which is very important when you're having these kinds of discussions. So opportunity areas, where do you still have room for improvement? What are your plans for addressing these issues? What are your weaknesses? What mistakes or negative things could come out during this discussion, and how will you address them? So much like when you're preparing for a interview, it's always best to think about your weaknesses ahead of time. And it's always best to think about how did you address those weaknesses ahead of time as well. So just think about that. Think about, in the past year, which one of your weaknesses, if it's only one, then more power to you. If it's multiple, think about the one that you are actively working on, and the one that is most relevant to your position and your success that you're also actively working on, and that's the one that you want to speak on. I think it's also best that you bring it up before the person who's having the discussion brings it up, because that just shows a certain level of awareness and ownership of your career and also your role. So also prepare for these questions, but also it's also best to answer these questions before they're asked of you. So if you can find some way to probably tie it into how you overcame a challenge or some of the questions from the previous slide, this slide here, that's also a great benefit. All right, so your future. What are my goals? I know I'm almost certain that many of you have heard of SMART goals. So this pretty much just spells out what SMART goals are. SMART goals can be used, they're used in many facets of business. They're used in strategic planning. They're definitely used in interviewing. They are, as we're talking about it here, used in performance evaluations as well. But SMART goals can be applied to any aspect of your life, whether it's career, whether it's personal, whether it's entrepreneurial. But these SMART goals, when it comes to the performance evaluation, are paramount because you want to set goals that are, as it says here, to walk through it, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. Think about when is the next check-in that you're going to have with your manager. For some of us, and I recommend it for most of us, you want to have the kind of relationship with your manager where you can have maybe like a bi-monthly or even monthly check-in. But if you don't have that and you only have 6-month check-ins or 1-year check-ins, then you really want to pay close attention to the measurable, as well as to the relevant. No, sorry, as well as to the time bound. Because how can you measure this in the space of 1 year? And can this even get done in 1 year, which is where time bound comes in as well. So you're gonna definitely tailor and customize this to your specific job outlook and your specific job and your relationship with your manager. And also, it's always best to tie it into the organization's goals. Like, let's say that the goals for the organization is to be more customer friendly. So your goal could be that you are going to create, you're going to take on the new customer experience module, or you're going to lead the customer experience training for new associates. Something like that is a very good goal to set because it shows that you are thinking about your role and how your role impacts the greater good of the company. All right, so now during the review, be engaged. So once again, much like a interview, the performance review is always best when it's a two-way conversation. You want to be engaged. You don't want it to leave it up to your manager to just spew out everything that you may have done right or wrong. You want to be active in it. You want to you do not necessarily have to wait until the end to ask questions or to chime in. But then again, also I will say it is based upon the relationship that you have with your manager. So consider that also. Receiving feedback. And this is one of the most important parts of being a leader as well as being employable. Be open and approachable. So like look at your body language when you are having your performance evaluation. Try not to be closed off. Don't huff and puff. You know, we're all adults here. Don't be defensive and take deep breaths so much with the huffing and puffing. No need for that. Active listening. Suspend judgment. Ask for clarification and examples. This is especially in the area of, let's say they're asking for, or in areas of improvements, maybe areas where you could have done something differently. So, you know, it is okay and it's expected that you're going to ask for clarification and examples. And then in the end, summarize and repeat what you hear to your manager, just to make sure that you guys are on the same page, because more than likely this will be a document to be signed and sent over to HR, and it will be on your file. So you want to make sure that you guys are on the same page before you sign this document. And welcome any suggestions. So towards the end, you can say, you know, is there anything else that you feel that I can be doing, or something that I can be stronger at, or something within that realm going forward. So after the review, the next steps: reflect. Think about what did you do right. Think about, you know, what was said to you that you may have done wrong. Think about, you know, how you're gonna set your SMART goals into play on day one. Set those new goals in your own personal way, because now you know that these goals will have to be achieved in 1 year. Implement them. So whether it's, you know, getting a whiteboard and writing these things on a whiteboard and like working actively towards it, do that. Continually touch base with your managers. Like I said, if you have that management structure where you're able to do that, then that's like golden, because that way you can ensure that you guys are actively pushing the ball towards one more level to go forward. And if you don't have that, then I recommend trying to form that, because there are very few work structures in this day and age where it's not appropriate to check in with your manager once a month. I mean, everybody finds that value, and honestly, it may be up to you to create that value, to have that kind of relationship with your manager where you can check in once a month or something like that. And if you need further help, schedule an appointment with a career coach. Part of our career coaching, as you guys may or may not know, we go much more beyond resumes and cover letters. We can go through a mock performance evaluation. We can help you work out difficulties that you may be having in the workplace. We can help you with managing up, managing down, managing people. So all of these things are actual subjects for career coaching that we can work with you on. So feel free to reach out to one of us if you have had a rough performance evaluation, if you want to prepare for a performance evaluation, or if you are still not comfortable with having these kinds of conversations. All right, so once again, my name is Garvin Reed, and I am the Assistant Director for Career Development at the Watchman Center at the School of Professional Studies. And our other two locations is the Watchman Center for Career Development, the main office, on 13th Street, the second floor, as well as the Watchman Center in Brooklyn as part of Tandon, which is located at 311 Bridge Street. So feel free to reach out to any one of these offices to work on performance evaluations further going forward. And we look forward to seeing you in our offices very soon. And good luck, and wishing you guys all the best on your future performance discussion conversations.